still of night, where shadows creep. Dan and Norm guide us, no secrets to keep. Through the ancient woods, where lost souls sigh, Bigfoot watches from the depths, lurking nearby. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. Echoes of laughter from realms out of sight. Ghostly apparitions dance in the pale moonlight. In haunted halls where shadows entwine, Dan and Norm lead us through the veil of time. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. Through fog and fear we venture deep into ancient mysteries where secrets sleep. With every heartbeat we draw near to enigmas hidden in the atmosphere. Welcome to the gateway to the unknown, where whispers of ghosts chill you to the bone. Paranormal tales and unknown phenomena unfold. With cryptids and mysteries, let the stories be told. So hold on tight as we drift away. Dan and Norm will return another day. In dreams we'll wander where shadows roam free. At the gateway to the unknown, come explore with me. As echoes linger in the night's embrace, ancient mysteries whisper, they leave a trace. With every thought that fades into dark, the gateway awaits, it ignites a spark.
Alien abduction accounts refer to claims by ordinary people that they've been forcibly taken by extraterrestrial beings, often for medical, scientific, or experimental purposes. These stories include missing time, memories recovered under hypnosis, strange implants, and vivid on-ship encounters. Across decades and continents, abductees report overlapping patterns, bright lights, paralysis, dark corridors, probing, telepathic communication. And critics argue that such accounts are false memories, hallucinations, psychologically induced narratives. Yet the emotional conviction in many testimonies suggests something deeply real to those who experience them. In this episode, we venture into these testimonies, from classic cases to modern investigations, and examine whether alien abduction is myth, psychology, or something stranger.
Welcome to the Gateway to the Unknown podcast. I'm Dan Hageman.
And I'm Norm Domek. In this episode, we explore alien abduction accounts, those chilling stories of people claiming to be abducted by extraterrestrials, studied, and then returned. We'll review famous cases, we'll hear a listener's first-person account, and we'll dig into conspiracy theories, examine alleged supporting facts, peek into psychological explanations, and see how this theme shapes culture. Whether you're skeptical, curious, or you might find stories that stay with you.
Norm, let me ask you, if someone claimed they were abducted, what would you ask them?
I would ask them how it made them feel. What did they experience? What was going through their mind? Did they see people that they recognized? Was it a comfortable experience? I would ask them those kinds of questions to try to see what it was like and compare it to the only experience that I would have, which would be the movies. And some were pleasant interactions in the movies and some aren't. So I would have a lot of questions. What would you ask?
Oh, I would ask the obvious. Can you describe what your abductors looked like? Can you describe the inside of the craft? Basically, try to get as much information from them as possible. Most cases are absolutely terrifying, horrific, uh, very painful, very unpleasant. But then there are those that they communicated vividly with and asked questions as they were being examined. Some claimed that they felt no pain. A lot of them say that it was a very terrifying and frightening experience.
Is that the rule and not the exception, that things were, most of the accounts that you hear, that they're not pleasant?
I would have to say so, yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. What's more plausible, alien abductions or advanced secret human experiments?
I would say they're equally plausible. I think that the military, the governments of all, not just ours, but around the world, are way more advanced than we know. The technology that is not shown to us is probably 100, 200 years ahead in some cases. Who knows, really? I mean, so I would say that they're both equally plausible. What do you think?
I'm inclined to agree with you, although I think that our militaries, they've portrayed abduction cases and have abducted people for nefarious reasons, and then they implant into their memory that it is an alien abduction. I think that both go on. There have been accountings and reports of both, and you have to wonder just what is the government up to. Been reports where our government is working hand in hand with several different races of alien beings. They're conducting experiments on not only human beings, but animal mutilations. There have actually been documented cases of human mutilations, which is something that is absolutely frightening, terrifying. There was an encounter where South America, no access into the area, days backpacking to get into the area, where they found the remains of a human being, that organs removed, just like the classic animal mutilation cases, but only this was human.
Wow.
It's absolutely frightening. But do you think abduction memories come from external contact or internal experiences?
I would say that there's got to be some stimulus to create those thoughts, some external stimulus to create the internal. So I don't think one can happen without the other. I think that, especially in group situations where there are group abductions, that's external. So
I have to agree with you. There are just so many cases. These people that experience this and report this, they are experiencing something, obviously. You have to wonder how many accounts have literally kept silent. How many people out there have actually had some type of an encounter or experience that possibly is related to alien abduction, that they are just absolutely terrified to come forward and make known? And I am sure that worldwide, if not hundreds, possibly thousands of cases.
Oh, sure. And not just recently. I mean, we know about our recent history, but how far back does this go? There are spaceships in ancient paintings from the 1400s and 1500s and such. So, but there's even cave art of UFOs and ant-looking people and things like that. So how far back does this go? Does it predate humans? Are humans here because of the aliens, what we would consider aliens? What if this is their planet and we were seeded by them so that we could be studied as we would do if we wanted to figure out some biology or whatever? So there's a lot of things to this. And you were talking about some examples from throughout time and around the world. And what about some examples from Betty and Barney Hill?
Yeah, that's a big one. It has never, ever been disproved. The Betty and Barney Hill abduction incident, that happened back in 1961. It happened in New Hampshire, here in the United States. And Betty and Barney were driving home late one night. Betty first noticed that she saw a bright object in the sky. Later, under several hypnosis sessions, they recalled both Betty and Barney being taken aboard a craft and examined and then returned with missing time. Their story became a touchstone for later abduction narratives. A very interesting case. 2 years ago, we had Betty's niece, Kathleen Marden. She was a guest speaker at our annual paranormal conference. And she still has the dress that Betty had worn at the time of the abduction. Just of late, recently, they found the dress has been examined dozens of times. And there have been clippings of the dress taken and examined. And just recently, not too awfully long ago, they found stains on the dress that were never detected previously and
Wow.
tested vigorously, and the results were unknown composition. They have no idea what caused those stains.
Yeah.
Another example is the Pascagoula incident. This happened in Mississippi in 1973. Fishermen Charles Hickson and Kelvin Parker claimed they were taken aboard a craft by strange creatures while they were fishing. They reported being physically examined and then returned. They both woke up from a translucent state, recall seeing a light fading or the object moving away. Another huge one, which I'm sure our listeners will be quite familiar with. This is an incident that happened that was turned into a movie. This was the Travis Walton incident, and this happened in Arizona back in 1975. And Travis Walton, he operated a crew where they would go out and cut down trees and lumbering. And Travis disappeared for a period of 5 days, allegedly walking into a bright light of a UFO. When found, he claimed that he had been aboard an alien craft, witnessing beings and alien technology. For those of our listeners, if you're not familiar with that, there are several books that are available. But check out the movie. You have to keep in mind that a lot of the movie has been added to it. They say that 95% of these programs are for entertainment purposes. You have to take into accounting 5% is actually legitimate. It's a good program. Another example is Antonio Villas Boas. This is an incident that happened in Brazil in 1957. This is one of the earliest well-known abduction cases. Villas Boas said that he was taken aboard a spacecraft, encountered human beings, and underwent medical procedures aboard a ship. Another one is the Zanfretta incident. This is from over in Italy, and this happened between the years of 1978 and 1981. And it involved a security guard, Fortunato Zanfretta, multiple abductions. Reported that he had been taken multiple times. Reported seeing a triangular and being taken aboard numerous times. His story is among the most documented in the Italian ufology. I know back in 1982, I and a couple of my friends, we witnessed a huge triangular-shaped object. We witnessed this thing stop directly above us. You're looking straight up. There was a light on each corner. They weren't blinking like navigation lights that you would associate with a commercial or military type aircraft. They just pulsated erratically. And between the front light and the back two lights, same distance on the right and left side of the craft opened up into a circle, and you could look up inside the craft. You could see two highly metallic metal spheres. Both spheres dropped down simultaneously, and they bobbed up and down until those openings were completely closed. The sphere on the right, it started to spin. Sparks started to fly out from the center of it in a 360-degree rotation. I looked to see what the one on the left was doing in the blink of an eye. One shot north, one shot south. The lights in the bottom of the triangle absolutely went crazy, just sporadically. It went from a stationary position. It did a zigzag to the left, did a zigzag to the right, and in the blink of an eye, it's straight up into the sky so you could no longer see it. Absolutely phenomenal sighting. And then another example, Ikley Moore. This happened in the United Kingdom. This took place in 1987. And this involved a retired police officer who claimed he was abducted while walking on Likely Moor. He returned with a photograph showing a strange figure, and later he was criticized. The photograph was criticized as being blurry or possibly even hoaxed. And those are a few examples, but some of those are very compelling, very credible. Definitely something had taken place in each one of these incidents.
Okay. So Travis Walton, the Travis Walton case, I actually met him. What a nice man. He was very nice, very down to earth. That sounds weird to put in this context, but he was a really nice man. And I said the question I had for him was, do you get tired of answering the same questions over and over? And he laughed and he said, well, no one's asked me that question before. And so we laughed for a little bit. And I said, what do you think would be the biggest takeaway? What would be the lesson, if there was one here to give? What would you want everybody to know? And he said, no one's asked me that question either. And I think he talked about, because he paused for a little bit and he was talking about just believe the people when they tell you things. That was his biggest thing because nobody believed him. So
I've had the opportunity to sit down with Travis on a few occasions and just casually talk with him. He's really down to earth. He really is. He's a sincere individual, and he has no objection of talking about his abduction incident. It's never been disproven. And his team went under polygraph tests, and every single time the polygraph tests came back, they were telling the truth. And hopefully one of these years, I'd like to have Travis be a guest speaker at our annual conference. Just a matter of, making the arrangements and getting him here. But as far as those examples, Norm, which of those cases feel most credible to you?
they all seem very credible, but I think Travis Walton, because I met him, I have that connection, and I didn't know you did as well. So I would say the Travis Walton case. I would say that one. What do you think?
For me, the Ian Barney Hill abduction incident, that's really probably what got me into my interest in the UFO phenomena, as well as multiple personal experiences that I have had, as well as my entire family. But in addition to the Betty and Barney Hill incident, I would have to say the Travis Walton abduction case as well. All very credible individuals. Like I stated, we had Kathleen Marden, the niece of Betty Hill, as a guest speaker at one of our conferences. And I have the original article when the Betty and Barney Hill incident was published, and the magazine that it came out in. I read that article and read it and reread it and read it and reread it, and still have that article, that magazine today. And I actually have a painting of Betty and Barney Hill's car stopped in the middle of the road. They're out of the vehicle looking up at disc-shaped object. You can see the beings on board looking back at them. I took that to the conference when Kathleen Marden was there and sat down with her and talked with her extensively. And I had her sign that painting. And I'll cherish that for the rest of my life. But it's something that, to me, is very sentimental.
Yeah, those stories.
Sorry, go ahead.
Those stories really are something. And we do have another short story mailbag here from Claire Simmons. And it says, my name is Claire Simmons, and I live in Flagstaff, Arizona, Coconino County. It was late August. Monsoon clouds gathered overhead, air heavy and wet, light flickering on distant ridge lines. Inside my small home, amber lights cast long shadows, cicadas buzzing at the windows. One evening, around 2 a.m., I was jolted awake by a humming sound, the walls vibrating faintly. I staggered to the living room and saw a beam of brilliant white light coming through the window. Before I could react, I felt weightless, unable to scream. In the next moment, I was inside a room I've never seen. Sterile white walls, instruments lining metallic surfaces, and beings standing silently observing me. They communicated in images, not words. What felt like seconds later, I found myself back in the living room, heart pounding, clothes disheveled, my phone logged lost time. An hour was gone. In the following days, I experienced vivid dreams of the ship. I saw symbols etched on my arms that I can't explain, and I felt watched. I can't prove it, but the memory won't fade. And part of me believes something alien reached into my life that night. I will forever be changed.
Wow. Norm, I have to ask you, and I have repeatedly made this comment repeatedly.
Okay.
If you had a big field or a large parking lot across from your home, and you were to look at and saw a craft landing in that field or that parking lot, and the craft opening up and beings come out in motion for you to come, what would you do? Would you go?
I would. Absolutely, I'd go. I think, first off, it'd be interesting to see the beings. Do they look like the tall, skinny, insect-like kind that are in Close Encounters when that door opened? Do they look humanoid, like the Venusians? There's the Nordics. There's a lot of alien, what we call aliens, that are out there, blonde hair, blue eyes, that look like us. We look like them. Maybe we are them. I don't know. Maybe they are us in the future. There's a lot of theories about that. But yeah, absolutely, I would go to the ship, and if they wanted me to go with them, I think I would. Would I eventually be like, I need to let them know what's going on back home? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'd go, but I'd like to come back and tell my experience as well.
What if they were the reptilians or the insectoids? Those beings are frightening to look at. Would you go?
I think I would be more trepidatious, but I think I would still go.
Yes.
I would still go. Am I lunch at that point? I don't know. You got to roll the dice and see what happens. What if it's just the way they look, but they had a message? Well, I won't know until I get there. Maybe I am lunch, but maybe I'm also the messenger for whomever.
Absolutely.
I don't.
I stated I have made the comment that something like that were to happen, I'd step out onto the porch. I'd look at my wife and I'd kiss her on the forehead and tell her, honey, you've got two options. You come with me or I'm gone. I would go in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I might be on the menu for dinner, but I would not pass up an opportunity like that. No way, shape, or form. I'm gone. I'm going to go. I've always said that I've been born 100,000 years too soon. I should have been born 100,000 years into the future. And going through school, junior high school, I'd get into discussions with my science teacher, and I'd tell him, hey, I should have been born in the future. I'm here at the wrong time in my life. I'm not interested in what happened in the past. I want to know what's going on in the future. And they'd look at me like, what, are you a little crazy? But yeah, I think that's where I belong. I would definitely go.
Okay. What questions would you have for them? The aliens, if they say, come on, and you go, and the door closes, and you get comfortable, and you're sitting there looking at them, and they're sitting there looking at you, and they ask you, what would you like to know? What would you ask?
Ultimately, I would like to know where they're from, what's it like on their planet or their solar system that they came from, and just curiosity. Why are they here? And what's their purpose? Is their purpose to annihilate mankind, or are they here to help mankind? And I would definitely want to know as much as I could about them. How about you?
Ooh, I would ask them questions like, did they create mankind? Because I think the question about annihilation, if they wanted to annihilate us, I'm guessing they could have already done it. So what are they waiting for? So I don't think that's the issue. I think it has to do, I would guess it would be something bigger, something more cosmic. I would ask them what history is hidden from us and why. What do they know that can help us as a species get along better? How could we move forward? Do they even want us to move forward? Maybe we're as far as we're going to get. Maybe that's what this AI Atlas is. Maybe that's the time running out for us in some way. I don't know, but I would ask those kinds of questions.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this AI Atlas, I, for the life of me, don't understand why NASA is so reluctant to release photograph or photographs that aren't blurry. Why are they not telling the public what they know? And I find it ironic that you're not reading it, you're not hearing it. There is information that's leaking out that for the first time since the development of NASA, they have enacted our defense for the earth. And you're not hearing it on the local news. Like I said, there is leaks that is leaking out the information, but you got to wonder, is this thing an intelligent, controlled structure that has been built by some race of beings that are far more superior than our intelligence here on Earth? You got to wonder. You really do.
Yeah. Well, we have 54 episodes in this series. We may have to cancel the rest of them after they get here. So
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. So there's some conspiracy theories. Dan, did you want to start going into that? We always talk about the government, so let's start there.
Yeah, they got to take the rap. Secret government programs known as alien abduction is real and suppress public knowledge for national security. And I believe that. You have to understand this is technology that is beyond the scope of anything that we can possibly conceive. And can you imagine the government, our government, getting a hold of it for superiority? No one else in the world has it, and I'm sure there's a lot behind that. Another one, a conspiracy theory, pharmaceutical or medical industries are complicit performing experiments under alien cover. And I don't know about that. I mean, it's not so far-fetched that you might not believe in it, but pharmaceutical and medical industries is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I think they would exploit any chance that they could get. Another conspiracy theory, psychic intelligence agencies train abductees to retrieve alien technology or intel for the state. And there again, that falls back on the statement that I just made for superiority technology. They're going to exploit whoever they can and do whatever they have to get their hands on this technology. Those are a few conspiracy theories.
Okay.
What are your thoughts, Norm?
Anytime there's money involved, there's room for manipulation to adjust that bottom line in some way, and normally for the good of the stock or whatever, if it's a publicly traded company. So I'm thinking yes on all of those things. Anytime you can maintain control in any way, anytime you can make $1 or $2 or $1 billion or $2 in some way, or you can gather intelligence in some way that your competitors can't, whether it's another company or another country, I think people are willing to do that. That competitive edge is what keeps the companies ahead of other companies, which keeps them more profitable in some cases. So I think a little bit of all of that is true to some degree. There are some alleged facts with the alien abduction experience, and about 1% of the U.S. population report that they've had an abduction experience. We also have neuroscientific analysis that suggests that reported abductions experiences often involve neural or memory distortions or hallucination phenomena. Yeah. Many abductees show high hypnotic suggestibility in history of sleep disturbances, contributing to vivid memory constructions. So a lot of it may be in our mind, just something that we think about. We construct that thought. We think about it so much that we think that it's real in some cases. We also have cultural narrative and media exposure seem to shape how abductions are described. Common motifs appear across decades. Another one is there is no scientifically validated physical evidence confirming any alien abduction to date. But that's coming from PBS, that source on here. But I have talked to doctors, eye doctors, who have seen things in eyes during an eye exam, and the patient is sent to a specialist within a couple of days. And by the time the patient gets there, this item is gone. This item is removed. And it's already been photographed at the original eye doctor. So it's there and then it's not. So there is physical evidence of something happening, whether it's marks on the skin, implants in an eye or in an arm or in tissue. And a lot of these implants have a radio frequency kind of emanating from it, like an air tag, kind of like we would tag a fish. Some humans actually have those things in them. An abduction experiences often mirror features of sleep paralysis, temporary lobe activity, or intraoperative awareness. Another one is memory distortion. Studies show that recovered or repressed abduction memories are prone to false recall and recognition. So that can mean that when the story is recounted, it's not the same every time. And if that's the case, then maybe it's not true. But sometimes when we wake up from a dream, we don't always remember it. There's something about our brain chemistry that keeps that memory, that dream, from becoming a conscious memory. So maybe that same kind of chemical reaction is taking place after an abduction. So let me ask you, which one of those alleged facts gives you the most pause? What do you think about those facts? Just one of them.
I would have to say many abductees that show high hypnotic suggestibility, history of sleep disturbances contributing to vivid memory instructions. I'd probably go with that one.
Okay. All right. And all of that, we talked about individuals, the individual abduction. I did mention a group abduction, and you said you had some people that saw the triangular shaped craft. With those things, we talk about society. What are some of the sociological impacts that come from this type of phenomenon?
Well, there are a lot. In the case of this triangular sighting that had good friends of mine, husband and wife, they'd come over for the evening. Once we got the kids off to bed, we were going to play some cards. And I found out afterwards that she was pregnant. She was carrying twins. And within 3 days of us having this sighting, she ended up having to go to the hospital. She miscarried. Howard and myself, we both had, looked like we were sunburnt.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out to be like radiation, low-level radiation. There's a called welder's eyes, where your eyes are all bloodshot. And we both experienced that. All three of us experienced the effect, the eyes, nausea, and I can't explain it.
Okay.
We filled out multiple reports, and the reports were taken and ran through a national computer. And the national computer, and it wasn't just filling out a simple questionnaire, it was multiple questionnaires. And a lot of the questions were repeated, just asked in different ways, but the national computer kicked it out as a unknown.
Oh, wow.
So that leads credence to it. But this stuff is real, and it affects every man, woman, and child on this planet. And I truly believe that the people, we have a right to know. You have whistleblowers, more so now than ever, that are coming forward, retired government, people that are in government that have been sworn to absolute secrecy, and that they're going against their oath that they would not discuss or talk about any of this, and they are now coming forward. A lot of this stuff is coming to light. Our Navy pilots, airline pilots, were told, you don't discuss it. If your career means anything to you, you forget what you saw. But we have Navy pilots. You and I are Navy people, and our pilots, most highly trained pilots in the world, having daily encounters off the East Coast, the West Coast, with these unknowns, UFOs, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. They're seeing these things coming up out of the ocean, going back down into the ocean. Our most sophisticated aircraft that these pilots fly are outmaneuvered and can't even keep up with what they're seeing. And they're coming forward and releasing video that they've taken and letting us know and letting people know that, hey, these things are real and we need to deal with it.
Well, and when we talk about that, how it affects everybody in every way, what does that do to the psychology of humankind? So I guess there's the next section up here is the psychological aspects. Would you like to do that?
Many psychologists see alien abduction reports as complex blends of unconscious processing, memory, and brain state. Exposure to sci-fi media, UFO lore, and cultural scripts can prime individuals to interpret ambiguous as abductions. During sleep paralysis or hypogenic states, people may see lights, feel pressure, and hallucinate beings later as alien encounters. Hypnosis or recovery memory therapy may unintentionally induce constructed narratives. Emotional stress or trauma can increase susceptibility to vivid internal experiences. Confirmation bias, expectation, or social reinforcement solidify the abduction belief. Even with internal validation is lacking, the subject intensity and consistency of reports make the experience feel deeply real to those who have undergone.
Okay. So, do you think that it's possible that no aliens are involved, but the experiences may still feel real?
Yes and no. I mean, there have been reports that people that have been abducted, they wake up and they can see men in uniform, aliens, military people. And again, that falls back on why would our military be abducting people? And then what they do, they induce into their minds that they can later recall portions of the experience, but it's abduction related through alien beings. Reports that people that are abducted, that they refer to alien creatures as well as men in uniform. So does that mean that our military and our government and these alien beings are working hand in hand?
And and who says it's our military? Who says it's our government? Who says it's any known government?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, it's someone's military. Good question. Good question, Norm.
Okay. So there's some sociological impacts with all of this, that the alien abduction lore has become entrenched in UFO culture, support communities, and media industries. Abductee support groups and conventions provide social validation and meaning for those claiming encounters. The conference that you have is really a good place where people meet and talk and can feel like they're not alone. So, I mean, these kinds of phenomena will influence film, literature, and television, reinforcing belief cycles and inspiring new believers. Belief in abduction can affect personal identity. People may see themselves as chosen, mistreated, or special. And in some societies, abduction stories overlap with spiritual or religious frameworks, blending with ghost or spirit belief systems. The demand for investigation, documentaries, and paranormal media drives an entire economy of UFO tourism, investigative journalism, and entertainment. And finally, abduction narratives challenge the boundary between empirical science and personal experience, pushing society to revisit assumptions about consciousness, memory, and even reality itself.
Well, with that, Norm, do you think that support groups legitimize or encourage abduction?
I think both. I think they will give the people a place to talk with people who have had a similar experience. Maybe not every detail is similar, but I think it may be a place for people to say, I was sleeping, something came and got me, I went somewhere, something happened to me, they returned me, and my clothes were on backwards, or whatever those details are. So I think absolutely it gives it a place to legitimize. I think nowadays they call it a safe space for people to be non-judgmental and talk and share their experiences. And I think it gives some people who want to feel like they've had an experience an opportunity to create an experience that wasn't there, so that they can get some attention in some cases, maybe try to sell books for an experience that never took place. So there's a lot of these kinds of things, not just within alien abductions, but within the paranormal field in general. I am sure that there are Bigfoot encounters out there that are in books that were never really encounters. So is that same thing true for alien abductions? I'm sure, because the more sensational something is, the more it sells. That's why we take something and give it more adventure and give it more pizzazz, so that it creates that excitement, and it sells books, and it sells movies, and it sells magazines, and it sells tickets to paranormal conferences.
Well, as far as different encounters or reports, you'll hear people say that they woke up and they were floating above the bed and then up through the roof. or they floated out through the wall, or they floated out through the glass window. And they're wondering, how is this possible? How can this be? Everything is frequency. You're a frequency. I'm a frequency. Our listeners, they're all frequencies. And if you can take and you can align your frequency with that wall, that ceiling, that window is a frequency. And if you align yourself with that frequency, then you are able to pass through it. And I'm sure you've heard of reports where people say that they were awakened in the middle of the night and they looked up and they saw these beings coming through the wall. Well, that's how they align themselves with that frequency, and it's like it's not even there. They can pass right through it.
Right.
Do you think that our alien abduction tells more spiritual metaphor or literal claims?
It's all three of them. There are what we now know as alien abductions or accounts that are in holy texts, including the Bible. I think it is also claims because they're direct stories from people that have had those experiences. And I think it's just a blend of things that have happened to them that they try to experience as spiritual, and things that are spiritual, but they don't understand it because of their belief system. So they say it's alien. So I think there's a blend of those things, those concepts, and one complements the other in some way.
I am the same way. Another good question. Does UFO media fuel belief or does it reflect?
That's the age-old question of, is it art imitating life or life imitating art? I think it's both. I think it's absolutely both. I think that we need the X-Files. We need that in our life. We need the fire in the sky from Travis Walton. We need all those things to help us try to make sense of the world around us and the unexplained. We need those things. And when those experiences happen and we can explore that a little bit deeper, it's also an escape in some ways. If we have the regular 9 to 5 and then after 5, then what? Then we can watch these shows and listen to these movies and experience something that is not normal, that's paranormal, that is exciting and terrifying, and a blend of all of that. So
How about if we get into a little bit of pulp culture here?
okay.
A good one is Communion. That's a book that was made into a film. I'm sure our listeners are familiar with Whitney Strieber, his account of alien contact and abductions. I have that book. I've actually read it a couple times. Excellent book. Another one, you've already mentioned it, and I still watch the reruns, The X-Files. TV series, many episodes deal with abduction and hybrid experiments. Fantastic show. It was a good one. Another one that you have mentioned, Fire in the Sky, Travis Walton incident. This is a film, 1993, and I had stated previously for our listeners, if you're not familiar with it, that's the name of the movie, Fire in the Sky. Check it out. It's a good movie, and it's a dramatization of Travis Walton's alleged abduction. Another TV series, it's a mini-series. It's called Taken, and that explores multiple generations of alien abductions. Another TV series is called Dark Skies, and it blends the 1960s America with alien conspiracies. Another one is the Manhattan Alien Abduction. This is a docuseries, 2024. It investigates the 1989 Linda Napatalo abduction claim. Another one is numerous podcasts, expanded perspectives, alien theorists that focus on abduction and testimonies. Another big one, and this was a government program that was turned into a TV series, and I'm sure our listeners are quite familiar with the Project Blue Book, and this includes alien abduction cases woven into UFO episodes. And then there's also sci-fi novels as far as End, Contact, often feature abductions or alien themes. Those are a few examples of pop culture.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you have a favorite in any of that?
I've actually got a couple. Communion, fantastic movie, an excellent book. The X-Files, Fire in the Sky. I would have to say also Project Blue Book. Those are probably my top favorites.
Okay, if you could combine some of that stuff and make a TV show, what would it be about?
I'd try to make it without the entertainment end of it. Probably try to do it in the form of a documentary, but it would be about abduction, testimonies from people that have had real time experiences. I have to add, if I may, for our listeners out there, if you think there's any possibility that you may have been abducted, or you're having or thoughts, there are a few things that you can do. Go out and you can buy them from Amazon.com. A UV light has to be narrow band and wide band. And say, for instance, before you take a shower, you got to remove all your clothing and go into a dark room and take this UV light, narrow band or wide band, and scan your entire body with it. There have been cases that people will have markings on their body that you cannot see under normal light. The only way you can see it is with the UV light. And we actually, some of the members of our organization that are possible abductees, and this has been documented. We've taken pictures of it, strange markings in the form of some type of lettering, strange hieroglyphics. You can't wash it off. You can't rub it off. Eventually it'll fade away on its own. We actually have a woman that she scanned her body prior to taking a shower. She had what looked like finger marks or hand marks on her thighs, in her thighs, like as if you were taking and trying to spread her thighs apart. And she once she noticed it with the UV light, she tried to wash it off and just simply would not come off. And of course, like I said, she documented it. She took photographs of this. But that's one way to find out if you've had some strange or bizarre things happening in your life. Another thing which we talked about just briefly is dream state. I call them virtual dreams. We've all had dreams that you wake up and you think, wow, gee, that seemed so real. Seemed like it actually happened. You wake up, you need to get a drink of water, or you wake up and you have to go to the bathroom. I preach, before you go back to bed, keep a digital recorder by your nightstand. Keep a notepad by your nightstand. Document as much of that as you possibly can remember or recall. But faithfully. You might look at it and you might think, what is all this garbage? It's a bunch of gibberish. It doesn't make any sense. But you do this long enough and over a period of time, it's like putting the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle together. It's going to start to form a picture to where you can understand what is going on. I've had what I call virtual dreams. I wake up, I'm on a metal slab slightly elevated. I can only move my head. My body is either paralyzed or strapped down. I'm looking and I'm seeing these beings. They're all dressed exactly the same and they have their backs to me, and the wall is nothing but a series of gauges and blinking lights and some type of massive control panel. And these beings are moving their hands and working these controls. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs to try to get them to acknowledge me. When I wake up, it's like I just get out of the shower with my clothes on. And I've had those dreams throughout my life. I still have them today. I also have a dream, or had a repeated dream where a white piercing light, so bright that you can barely even look at it. You're in a black spinning void and you are being drawn toward this light. And I'm fighting with every ounce of my being to keep from being drawn into the light. And again, when I wake up, it's like I just get out of the shower soaking wet. Those are a few without really taking up a lot of time or going into more detail. But document your dreams, especially if you're having bizarre dreams that you simply can't explain. Do it and do it long enough, do it religiously, and hopefully that will help you form a picture, like I said, pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that will help you be able to have a better understanding what is going on in your life. And with that, Norm, would you like to bring us to a conclusion? And
I will. So, alien abduction accounts remain one of the most provocative and unsettling paranormal phenomena. On one hand, countless testimonies share striking commonalities. On the other, no incontrovertible physical proof has ever been confirmed. 100%. So, psychology, memory, science, and cultural influence offer powerful alternative explanations, yet they don't account for the felt reality of many abductees. Whether these experiences are external interventions or deeply internal journeys, they force us to question what consciousness, memory, and reality really mean. The abduction narrative continues to challenge our definitions of evidence, belief, and the nature of the unknown. If you've ever sensed lost time, dreamed vivid alien contact, or felt more than coincidence, we want to hear your story. No matter what you believe, the unknown is always closer and stranger than we expect.
Absolutely. And with that, if you've had an experience that you simply can't explain, you've been reluctant to talk about it, that's why we are here. We are not going to laugh. We're not going to make fun of you. If anything, reach out to us because we want to help you. And if it's something that we can't help you with, we will find somebody that can help you. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Absolutely. Do not be afraid of the unknown. The paranormal is more real than you might think. This stuff is real. Aliens exist. These spacecraft exist. There are multiple races and species of aliens. We would like to hear your story. We truly appreciate you tuning into our podcast. We can't do it without you. You are what make us what we are. We love you. Stay safe. God bless. And we'll see you next episode.
And thank you for being one of the thousands of listeners in 18 countries and count. Thank you very much.
God bless.
All right. God bless. Love you, Dan.
Love you too, Norm.
All right. Bye.
In the still of night, where shadows creep.